When breaking up with someone becomes financially beneficial for you, can you, a money-making individual, ever have an honest relationship again? I asked this question. Can Taylor Swift, now that the ability to break up with someone has monetary gain, monetary incentive, can she in any way, shape, or form actually have an honest relationship?
You would think that in her stage in her career, she's established enough that she doesn't need to like nickel and dime herself into breaking up with her boyfriend to get attention on her Eras tour after she's like on a 2-week long break.
Yeah. It's not like she needs to.
Don't think that that's what's happening. I will go back to your original question and say that I think you would also need to ask the question, can any famous person have an honest relationship, especially if them being associated with someone lifts the other person's profile, right?
Yeah.
Like, I did not know who Swift-Alwyn was before Taylor Swift dated him. And he's done, I mean, he seems like a serious actor. He's been in stuff, seems okay, but...
I saw something describing him as a leading man.
Notoriously low-key actor and Hollywood's most private leading man, which essentially means he's just not that famous of an actor, and they're being flattering because he's Taylor Swift's boyfriend. Yeah.
I mean, she has talked more publicly about the relationship than he has over the years.
And
even when they acknowledged that they are together, he continued to not discuss it, whereas she did start discussing his role in her life.
See, but what I picture is like every time they have a fight, she pulls out like her notebook that she writes all her songs in and makes mean faces at him and just pretends to be writing as a way to like get his behavior to I bet that's true for
every boyfriend, you know?
Think so?
Pulls out that notebook and they're like, oh no.
Yeah, but they don't have to worry, but every other boyfriend doesn't have to worry about that ending up on the radio.
Went into dark, like he went to hiding when Red came out.
Every Taylor Swift boyfriend has got to be on a tight leash, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Just based on what I can glean from her personality. So to explain though, Swift-Alwyn is Taylor Swift's now ex-boyfriend. They were together for 6 years. She's now 33. They started dating in late 2016. And it was rumored that they were engaged to be married or possibly even married secretly.
Yeah.
Because in her 2020 documentary, she had a ring on her finger that a lot of people speculated was an engagement ring. Now it's been leaked that that relationship is over. A source said it was not dramatic and the relationship had just run its course. It's why Swift-Alwyn hasn't been spotted at any shows. So they were just growing apart and decided to call it quits in an amicable way.
Reconcilable differences.
But it makes me wonder if there's an explanation for this that's not being made public. A lot of fans are trying to figure it out.
There's a $20 one right there. Also, guys, remember, if you do super chat $20, we will interrupt this discussion, read the super chat, and then do our level best to get right back on topic.
Big Derp Energy said, a financial incentive for a breakup is a conflict of interest. Congratulations, you described modern marriage. After all, how often does a fair sex choose a guy who earns less than themselves, cash and prizes, but no win?
You could also make the same argument about, we've incentivized divorce through court. The courts incentivize divorce due to laws with children.
Yeah. Well, we don't know if they were married or not. That's essentially what it is.
It's a microcosm.
A lot of fans are speculating that he wanted to get married and she refused. Yeah. So
that was the rumor when she and Calvin Harris broke up, that he wanted to get married and that she said no because she was still like kind of having a meteoric rise in her career. And then there were all these Easter eggs and all these videos of her with engagement rings. I actually think it's the reverse in this case. She's a year older than he is. And I think after 6 years with someone, especially given some of her lyrics, she has written songs about him saying like, I want to be married, let's have a child together, things like that. I think it's that she wanted to be married and he didn't.
Oh, wow.
Okay, that's contrary to what everyone's saying because they're reposting this video of her performing Champagne Problems, which is a song they wrote together.
And she looks emotional.
Yeah, sure. I looked on the Genius page for this song and it says, it tells the story of a woman who shocks her would-be fiance and loved ones by turning down a marriage proposal right before Christmas. And there's this video of her performing this song somewhat recently and like about to cry, looking kind of emotional while she's singing it. So is she the one who had the marriage proposal?
It's about Calvin Harris, though. It's about her relationship with Calvin Harris. That was, confirmed through sources when it came out. So that song's
in a
not
new context.
In a new context, that's why I fully believe, like, does Taylor Swift listen to her own breakup songs when going through a breakup? Because if you
she might be that narcissistic.
I don't even think it's a question of narcissism. Like, I get what you're saying, but if you have a song that you're like, this really, like, if it's a good song, it's positive, maybe you're in love, maybe you're really sad, you're like, this song really speaks to me, right?
Yeah.
Having written these songs yourselves and having to listen to them again must feel so strange, right? Like, if she did write this song with Swift-Alwyn and she was like, yeah, I'm reflecting on a previous breakup and that was sad for me, but now I'm with this guy who I'm obsessed with, I'm in love with him, and then you listen to it later when you guys have broken up because you guys wouldn't get married, I would feel very bitter. I would also be sad about that, right?
Well,
the hardships
here's the
don't
lyric.
seem like they are worth it.
It says, she would have made such a lovely bride, what a shame she's effed in the head. They said, but you'll find the real thing instead, she'll patch up your tapestry that I shred.
So the song was written about her breakup with Calvin Harris.
Yeah.
And you'll find the real thing instead is she's saying it to the guy, but in this case, we also believe that Taylor Swift thinks she found the real thing with Swift-Alwyn.
Okay.
And then after 6 years, which is longer than she's been with anyone else, they don't get married, they break up. I mean, if you look, I'm obviously like really showing my hand here and telling you that I have like grown up listening to Taylor Swift, but I'll stand by, like, several of the songs that came off of Reputation, that came off of Lover, that came off of a bunch of them that are about Swift-Alwyn reference marriage, commitment, having children. And she's doing this big Eras tour, right? She's summarizing all of her careers. Seems like a key time to say, like, I've hit this capstone of my career and I am ready to step back and get married and have children. And Swift-Alwyn is like, it's a no from me.
See ya.
See you later. I think that people want it to be Taylor Swift being like, I don't want to have children, I want to work. But actually, I think she is wanting to move forward and he doesn't have the same pressure. I mean, she's 33, he's 32. I think it's very normal for men to delay marriage longer than women. And I think she knows she can't anymore. And I think that's why they broke up. Hot take from me. You guys are welcome.
He's like, I got time.
Yeah,
like, I got time.
People are searching for Easter eggs in like a recent change to her set list where she removed a song that's about soulmates and then inserted in its place a track that reminisces on a former relationship. Taylor Swift fans are almost QAnon level.
Oh yeah,
it's crazy.
Absolutely.
And I have to be clear, never delved that
up there
far.
with BTS fans.
Yeah, similar to BTS fans, just constantly searching for the Easter eggs and the hints as to what's going on behind the scenes.
She should have married Calvin Harris when she had the chance. He's British, she likes British guys. He's tall, she likes tall guys, and he was older than her and therefore more stable. He would have been ready to get married.
It's not like she's
when
marrying any dude who isn't at least a little bit stable, like with.
No, but that's what I mean. Like, I think that's the benefit. You can't have two. Maddie Healy from the 1975 did this interview because I guess they dated for a little while, and he talked about
They did?
Yeah,
I thought they were just friends.
No, I think they had. I don't know if they like were exclusively dating or they just went on a handful of like dates.
Okay.
But he said basically like there's too much ego in that relationship, meaning that like they are both center stage people, they are both superstars, and you can't really have two superstars in one relationship. She needs someone who is willing to hang in the background.
She needs like an investment manager, like an investment banker, like that makes a ton of money. Like,
well, it sucks because like these pop stars, the female pop stars seem like they just can't catch a break. Lana Del Rey dated a normal guy who was kind of out of the spotlight. He was a cop. I understand he was like he had some kind of blue collar acting job on a cop show, but not for very long. And he just seemed like a solid like Republican white-haired guy. And then it was rumored that they conceived a child together who she lost, sadly. And then their breakup was very painful because of that. And then he now is with somebody else. And it seems like if you go for someone who's also in the spotlight or someone who is way less known than you, it's kind of effed either way because
I don't think fame has a guarantee on relationships either way. There are plenty of famous people who are married and happy about it. I think really it's this, why did she date this guy for 6 years? Yeah. Like, what are we doing here, team? 6 years is a really long time. The difference between 27 and 33, enormous. And I also think for a couple that, you know, presumably he's based in England, right? Yeah. So they had to figure out quarantine together. They probably spent all of their time together if they're not officially living together. They have all the money in the world. It's not like they need to save up to buy their marriage license or some other sort of semi-romantic thing. Like, there's no reason for them to have not pulled the trigger other than our constant wait culture. You should dive into everything in the world. You should get vaginas painted on your nails, but you shouldn't dive into a committed relationship and then stay steady and work through the issues. Like, I can't imagine dating someone for 6 years knowing that potentially, like, how long do you really need to know, right? I'll give you a year or two. We talked about this yesterday. Like, what do you need at max to know that you're going to be with something and that you are willing to work it out? And I get that it's not guaranteed. I get that marriage and commitment are difficult and challenging, but when you're dating someone, at what point do you lose the momentum to go forward?
That's an interesting question.
Waiting to figure it out.
What you said? You said 3 years was too long.
I think everyone knows much quicker than they're willing to admit. And even for men, it's like they don't want to settle down. For women, it's like, but maybe I can hang around, and they should really break up with the guy and go find someone else. But I think it's typically like 1.5 to like 3 years. Like, you shouldn't date any longer than that. I think so within the first year, honestly, and then maybe the circumstances aren't right, maybe you need to wait a little bit, whatever. But if you're dating past like 2.5, 3 years, except for like maybe if you're in college and you're financially dependent on your parents, but like
especially if you start living together and essentially if you buy like a house together or sign a lease together, you're taking all the commitments except marriage,
which is crazy
without any of
I'm completely
the benefits.
I have a lot of friends who live with I have lots of friends who live with their boyfriends, who own co-houses with their boyfriends or fiancés, and they're getting married, and I think they'll be together for a long time. But generally, for the majority of the population, I think living together before marriage is a bad idea, because this idea that you need to test someone out and living together is the only way to figure it out gives you the out to always leave. You never have to buy in and
it's like hooking up on the first date and living together before marriage are the ways that you test somebody out.
And that's crazy. Like, are these shoes? Are they a car? Like, what are we doing here? Is this what we're doing? I think that our culture doesn't value marriage because we're so afraid of commitment. And I think that's sad. But how can you blame people when it seems like people are always sort of halfway out the door, right? Yeah. Like, if you know that you could leave someone for any reason in a marriage, like, how do you know they won't leave you when you're dating?
More spousal support. If everyone's got to work anyways, then everyone leaves the relationship with what they went into it.
But that's really what I took away from Taylor Swift's breakup. Like, I all I could see was like Taylor Swift and Swift-Alwyn break up after 6 years, and just think like, this girl's 33. If she wants to have a kid, like, he has wasted her time. Yeah. And that is sad. And if she, for whatever reason, has decided she doesn't want kids, girl, I'm sad for you too. I hope you have children, but I think that it's crazy to me that you would date someone for that long at that age and but
they've been like, society's lied to women about like that what they're doing is not damaging to their ability to have kids.
Well, it takes away their power, right? Like, so because we live in a world where we have casual sex, it means that like there's no reason for men to rush to the altar, right? In religious communities you still see this, right? Yeah. If you're not sleeping together before marriage, then there is even more motivation to get married. And what do you have to do to get married? You have to have hard conversations, and you have to see what the other person's values are, and you have to see what they want out of life. And you can't put things off because, number one, you don't want to. And number two, you're not living together before marriage. You are trying to build a life together earlier. Yeah. And I think that we have sort of blurred what the purpose of dating is by putting these other goals in there. Well, maybe we'll move in together. Maybe we'll get a dog together. Like, no, just get married. Just be married and be married forever, because you will feel better. Partially because you yourself are stepping up to this challenge, and it'll be hard, but ultimately it's such a unique bond, it's worth it, and you will have the security of knowing somebody else is doing that too.
How about this?
But we're such a low trust society, blah, 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 blah.
Okay, speaking of living together, this is relevant. One of her songs, Cornelia Street, has seen the largest upswing in a lot of her different songs that
her Spotify is bumping right now because of all this.
A bump in streaming because of her breakup.
It's a financial benefit. I also have another question. This is purely for her. From an artist perspective, you build a career off of making music about men that you've broken up with or have broken up with you. What would be the pressure if she got married and divorced of that first great divorce song? After years of relationship breakup songs,
Look,
that divorce song better bump.
Adele
okay?
did this. This was Adele,
yeah,
right?
But she wasn't just known for breakup music.
Yes,
Taylor,
110%. Adele is known
She's known for being fat and good at singing.
She's known for the emotional ballad. And it could be about a lot of things about growing up.
Just breaking
but love
up.
songs were a huge part of that. And I remember the pictures of her standing outside her divorce attorney's office, bawling her eyes out. Everyone realized how much money her husband was about to get because they didn't have a prenup. And also everyone's realization that you were about to get a very emotional and intense Adele album. Like those things were coincide because the emotional music obviously appeals to people for a lot of reasons. And when you have cornered the market on it in your style and genre,
I still think it would be harder for
your
Taylor
suffering
Swift.
is good.
I still think it would be harder for Taylor Swift. And for all those amazing breakup songs, that divorce song better just hit on a different level.
People are now walking past their rumored house that they owned together on Cornelia Street in New York City, making videos mourning the end of their relationship as if it has anything to do with your life.
Yeah, they never owned it. It was a rental and the owner still has it. He did this really funny interview where he was like, I kept wondering why people took pictures of this house. Oh, I did rent it to, I guess, yeah.
He had no idea.
He did not care about Taylor Swift. And I respect him more for that.
Even better. Like, that's awesome. Some Taylor lady was renting it. I don't know.
Yeah.
And this nice guy, Joel, this
they were
nice
never
young
laid on a
man,
payment.
Joel, yeah, and this nice young man, Joel, that she was with, they rented it together. Yes.
I just think that, like, I think this is a lesson that all women should look at and say, 6 years is too long. And I know the rumor is, I guess I acknowledge the rumor is that she was not ready to settle down. But I think that is true of when she was younger and dating Calvin Harris. And I think in this case, she does want to be married and have children. She writes about it explicitly. And look, I don't know why Swift-Alwyn left, but both of them wasted a lot of her time, is the conclusion
Well,
here.
if your assumption
She's
is
also
right,
responsible for part of that, though, right?
Yeah.
That's
She
why I
should
said
have been
both of them. It's not just him,
yeah.
but also if he's there being like, yeah, of course I want to get married, but he's having doubts in the back of his head through year 2, year 3, year 4, he should have left her.
He's like,
because
well,
he was there
yeah.
to the end of her 20s into her early 30s, and that is really precious time for women.
Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.